Members on both sides, the Manager of Opposition Business.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Yesterday, the Environment Minister said there was extensive due diligence before the Prime Minister offered a small private foundation almost $500 million in taxpayers' money in a closed-door meeting on the 9th of April. But today the Foundation's CEO explained that no one in the Foundation was contacted and she wasn't even aware there was a due diligence process underway. Could the Prime Minister now give us 3 minutes detailing the extensive due diligence that his minister referred to?
Members on my left, the Minister for the Environment has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It might help the House to run through a timeline because the decision to make this funding available was the result of a considered process. Last May in 2017,
the Minister will just pause for a second. Members on my left, I'm trying to hear the answer. The Minister has the call.
Interdepartmental task force led by my department to deal with the challenges facing the reef. This led to a MyEFO announcement of $57 million, Mr Speaker. I then took 2 submissions through the ERC process in March, which included seeking further funding for water quality, tackling the crown of thorns starfish, reef science, Indigenous engagement and Garumpa's on-water management program, and a proposal to establish a partnership with a non-governmental organisation, which was the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. This was based on 3 things: the Great Barrier Reef Foundation's proven track record in leveraging philanthropic support as Australia's largest reef-dedicated charity, the Foundation's long-standing extensive experience working with my department and other key stakeholders for more than a decade, and the first phase of due diligence by my department, which looked at its governance, structure, constitution, project management, fundraising history, capacity for growth, board composition and scientific expertise. Following ERC agreement, an interdepartmental committee was established to progress this proposal, and I was given authority to approach the Foundation, which occurred on the 9th of April, to determine whether they were interested in entering into a partnership for the benefit of the reef, subject to the successful negotiation of a partnership agreement and final phase of due diligence. Over the next 2 weeks, the department worked with the Foundation to develop the fundamental principles of the partnership, which included governance, decision-making, risk-making, reporting, financial management and other things. I formally wrote on the 22nd of April to the Foundation Chair outlining these collaboration principles, making it clear that any Australian government funds was dependent on negotiating and executing a new grant agreement. The Foundation Board agreed to these principles and agreed in a letter back to me on the 26th of April. On the 29th of April, the government announced our funding commitment and was included in the budget on the 8th of May. On the 24th of May, consistent with the government's grant guidelines, I approved the partnership grant lines and announced outlining the necessary requirements to be included in the Foundation's application, which were published on my website. On the 29th of May, the Foundation formalised their proposal, and on the 20th of June, under Section 71 of the Public Governance, Performance and Accountability Act, I approved the grant to the Foundation based on a recommendation from my department and a second stage of due diligence, which included as well work by the Australian Government Solicitor. My department concluded that this grant would meet the government's policy objective to protect and manage the Great Barrier Reef, represent value for money and was consistent with the provisions of the Governance and Accountability Act.
The member for Corangamite.